my fantastic friends, I'm Mermaid Melissa, and today we're looking at my second bullet journal that I completed. So if you watch the previous video, you'll see how I evolved through my style with bullet journaling, and this one is a continuation as well as some new things that I added in. First things first, this journal got a lot of love and warped a bit, so you can see just how much so, and I'll show you why that is. I also got this beautiful mermaid sticker that was front and center on it from my mother, and that kind of started my trend of using just some kind of beautiful sticker on the front for my bullet journals. That continues on with my purple journal, and I still have yet to find one for the emerald, which you will see in the bullet journal with me videos. So diving right in, no fish pun intended, I have here my bullet journal. It's so warped. Just like in the previous video, I have my thing here, so that way I can open it up and reference for hours and things like that. I actually stopped doing this in this journal pretty early on, so I didn't really use it. In my other journal though, I found a different purpose for it, and so you will see what I mean then. I also managed to get a Polaroid zip, so you'll see a lot of photos, and I was collecting little things that just made me happy. This tag from Gravity Falls and Omoru-chan and Starbucks anniversary things. Sticker of Rapunzel. Alright, so I won't explain a whole bunch of the stuff because I'm sure if you watch the first video you'll know what things are, and this will primarily just be a flip through and with some pauses and explanations on different things just for fun. So I did change up my bookshelf a little bit. I didn't finish it all, so that gave me inspiration, or hope I should say, that this would work in my next journal, and it didn't. I actually ran out of room. So I might do something different in the emerald one later. Here were the movies. I included the first few that I watched because I didn't want it to be empty, but I did get stuff in here: Ratchet and Clank, Home, Rogue One, and then I watched some older movies, Rock and Rule and Plague Dogs. So, I mean, these movies didn't have to be brand new, they just had to be ones I hadn't seen before. Started that video game thing, never got to it. Creative ideas. I made my feminine tracking a little more elaborate. It included symptoms and things like that. It's not quite this elaborate in my current state, but it was still nice to see, and I kind of gave it a Alice in Wonderland theme, you know, with the Red Queen, right? Anyways, here was my weight loss tracking. I mentioned in my previous video that I put where I was to start and then where I was going. So I used to weigh 325 pounds. And when I started doing bullet journaling, I was down at 224. So I wanted to honor that I had lost, you know, over 100 pounds, 101 pounds. So I put in this squiggle to show that this is where I was and this is where I started. And then I did a kind of Wizard of Oz theme because it's a journey. This here was one of the last drawing a day things I did. This was to actually honor the end of the horrific dolphin hunts in Taiji, Japan, and I celebrated that and the safety of dolphins for at least 6 months in those waters by illustrating the different species of dolphins found throughout the world. Some of these dolphins actually are hunted under the mislabel of tradition, and really it's about using that as a cover to get more dolphins into captivity. And it's a horrific practice, but if you follow environmental news, it's probably one that you are very well aware of. Here is my brain dumps. These ones, I started doing the full spreads immediately. So this is a stamp here. This is a Jane Davenport stamp, and then I dressed it up to make it look a little more fun. And so while I do my own art as well, here's a fan drawing of Blue Diamond from Steven Universe. I also believe that using stamps have a place in your journal. Stamps, you can stamp it and then go. And I know drawings, you have to sit down and take a little more time with them. But you can also dress up stamps and make them as creative or as simple as you want. So if you don't have the creative ability to actually do like a drawing, don't fret. Use some stamps. You can decorate them, you can add simple shapes and make them just as beautiful as like somebody's like actual drawing. Like, there is no shame in using a stamp. So I'll pause here. Pause, right? So you can see here that my days changed again. These little spaces here were for medications and vitamins I was supposed to take every day. And this was like for weather and temperature and things like that. I actually stopped doing that. Kind of fell off that wagon. And when I have a thing like that I just stop doing, and I notice that I'm not doing it, I just eliminate it. Because it's taking up space, and then I can just put something else different in there. And then I still was doing stamps, and I moved these up here to save space. So instead of doing that like cross beam, it was just right across. And this is still something that I continue with to this day with my bullet journaling. Here's some photos from Mythic Worlds, the last time I went. This was a great time. I was volunteering there. I got to meet one of my favorite artists, Stephanie Law, and I actually met Toby Froud as well. He's Brian and Wendy Froud's son, and he's actually Toby the baby from the movie Labyrinth, if you know that movie. And if you don't, what's wrong with you? Just teasing, you should go see it. Here's some more photos. This was another event that I did. This is NorwestCon. This is the first time that I had done it, and I've done it another time as well, just this last March. And rumor has it that I will be invited back for a third year, which I'm really excited about. Basically, I give panel talks about what it's like to be a volunteer mermaid. I don't do it professionally. I do know people who do, and they do the panel with me, but I primarily do the volunteer route, and I talk about that. And then also I talk about, in this one I was talking about making my own tails, because at this time I didn't have my Merbella. I did have my Merbella for the recent one I went to, and it was a hit. And so then I got to talk about making your tails versus buying them and things like that. So it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. This this is another stamp here. This is another Jane Davenport face stamp, and I turned it into Lady Amalthea from The Last Unicorn to go with my theme here. You can see from earlier, The Last Unicorn here. So kind of kept a theme going. You might have recognized this piece here in my previous journal on the other video. I did a stamp set like this with the 3 dolphins from Lawn Fawn, and I did striped dolphins at that point, and these ones are common dolphins. So just continuing my trend, and I do have a 3rd set in my current journal that I'm working on. I continued on with the little positive messages to myself, and something that I started also to do was 1 kanji a day, so I would learn my Japanese. I stopped doing this as well because it took so long to research it and then spell it in English to pronounce it, and then like what it meant. So, but it was a good idea while it lasted. And, you know, and really quick, this little dog holding the smile sign, this I love so much. We have quite a large unhoused population here in my city, and this gentleman was asking for assistance with a little cardboard sign, and he had his dog holding up a little sign, and it said smile. And I work with a lot of unhoused people in my line of work, and so I know that those who tend to have dogs, like, their dogs get everything before they do, and the dog is a very important part of their life. So I wasn't worried about the dog. Some people might be if they see a person who's unhoused and living on the street with a dog, you know, worried for the dog more than the person. But I knew that dog was going to be fine because I know the types of people that live on the streets like that. Here was my monthly budget. Instead of having a big spread, I kept them in here. These are just little envelopes with paper in them. And I got these at like a Japanese dollar store up in Seattle. And so I did this, that way I could take the papers out if I wanted to and redo my budgets. But this way I had them all lined up and nobody had to see them, and so I didn't have to worry about people knowing how much money I made and things like that. This here is all typeface anatomy, and I loved this. This was in a book, one of my typography and hand lettering books and stuff. And what was amazing about this is that I posted this on Instagram, and the woman who wrote that book saw it and she loved this, and that was just so awesome to hear, like, from the author that even though I pretty much like copied this right out of the book, that just the way it had been done and incorporated into my journal was awesome. It still bothers me that it looks like it says Loon, but it's supposed to be June. Some days, when I don't have time to sit and plan my tasks or, you know, reflect on it, I just put in a big sticker and I move on to the next day. Here were some doodles that I was doing. They were primarily on little bits of sticky notes at my work, and I just started collecting them all in here. They are mostly World of Warcraft related, because that's the main game I play, and they're like based on my friends and stuff too. Well, okay, like these ones are all my characters, but this is Alistair, who's a Worgen, just looking cute. This is Nyarai, who is a demon hunter, and so that's why the cat's blindfolded and looks angry. And it says the Nya cat, because we were laughing at like Nyan cat, Nya cat. Anyways, I know it's dumb, but it was fun. And then just kind of jokes like my priestess, this Neha here, instead of being this sweet, wonderful person, is actually like this murderer, like Miss Lovett from Sweeney Todd. And so here she is, like, baking people into pie. When really she's more like Lucy in her little booth in Charlie Brown and Peanuts comics and stuff, you know, psychiatric help 5G. The priestess is in. You know, it's pretty much what I do. This here was all about my Astral Atomic Evoke wand, which is a flow wand that's all lit up and pretty. And these were all the different settings here. Another Jane Davenport stamp. Starting to see some photos. So I managed to get a Polaroid zip, and I love it so much, and I got it to use to help with memories and stuff. So here is a collage that I did of a vacation I took with my aunt and my mother to kind of the central-ish California. We used to live way down in this area on the map. So we were just visiting places that we had once been to. And I just like kept track of like photos of all the fun things that we were seeing, and like how many times I missed my fiance because it was a girls only trip. So mother, aunt, myself, and that was it. But the reason my book is warped is because of this page here. So I quickly found out that I had only left myself 4 pages to do like photos and stuff, and that was not enough at all. So I developed little like accordion books here, and I'm gonna try and show you them. So you just open it up, and it was the photos I took at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, including this photo here, which they actually shared on their Instagram because they loved it so much. And then on the back side, there's some more stuff like tide pools that we went to and things like that. And then in here is a another one all about Morro Bay and the shell shop that I would go to. My great-grandmother used to live in near Morro Bay, so we would end up in it all the time. And then they had this tiny aquarium that was closing down, which kind of is probably for the best for the sake of the animals in there. But as a child, I didn't quite know any better, and I would go there all the time. So I went one more time during this vacation just so I could get all these photos. And then that way I would have a bit of this part of my history all like laid out, and I wrote about it and things like that. So, but because I made these 2 little photograph journals here, I hope that's in shot. They just warped, but that's okay, part of life, right? So moving on. Little collage bit from another time I spent at Fairy Worlds. This was last year. This was an illustrated recipe for a quinoa salad that I like to make. And my favorite part of this is the illustration for chicken thighs. I wanted to make it silly, so I put a chicken in fishnet stockings and heels. Yep, works. This here is one of those like blank pages. I was supposed to do something with it, but I never did. and I had this like coloring book that was all stickers that I like just wanted the stickers, and they were like mosaic stickers, and they didn't quite line up all the way, which kind of upset me. Like this one would have a gap, or it would have a gap here, and I just had to kind of give it up and be like, okay, it's gonna gap. But it's just this cute little brave Pascal from Tangled, my favorite movie, one of them. I started my Christmas list here so I could make sure that I got my gifts like that I wanted to get to people done, and like all the supplies I needed to buy and things like that. It's crazy. This here was from a coloring book from, my gosh, I cannot remember her name right off the bat, and I'm sorry, I'll have to add it in my description later if I remember to do that too. It's the artist who does the pop manga books, and I just really liked this mermaid that also has a horn sitting on top of a narwhal and these butterflies. And oh my gosh, I just realized I wrote her name on the paper so I wouldn't forget it, and I totally didn't read it and forgot it. It looks like it's, I'm gonna butcher it, Camilla de Errico. So yeah, I feel fantastic. I think it's late right now as I'm recording this, so I'll use that as my excuse. But anyways, I just love the illustration, so I colored it in and I stuck it on a page here. Here was a little collage fun bit I had when I went to last year's Portland Retro Gaming Expo. We went on 2 different days, and I went cosplaying as 2 different characters. The first one I did was Toriel from Undertale, and then I did GLaDOS again. And these are just pictures from that event there. Like some Undertale stuff I saw, the Unipiper, things like that. Just it was a fun time, and I really enjoyed. I enjoy going to conventions and cosplaying sometimes more than I enjoy the conventions themselves. Like I really enjoyed seeing all the old gaming stuff that I used to use when I was a kid, and kind of having that nostalgic moment. But my fiance is definitely more of a hardcore gamer than I am, so this meme was primarily for him. But hey, I got to dress up and carry around my crochet pie that had butterscotch in it, so you know what? I had fun. That's what matters. This was our anniversary. We took another trip to the coast together, and we found sand dollars, which was great. We saw some of our resident gray whales, and I got to, on Halloween, dress up as Elizabeth from BioShock, which I forgot my wig and I couldn't find my necklace, so it was kind of partially dressed up, I guess. But I got to take the photo I've always wanted to take at the aquarium right here, and where I'm cosplaying Elizabeth and I'm looking out into the ocean, so it's like I'm at Rapture, and it was I was so happy to have done it. And that, you know, I didn't have my wig, but I know how to tie my hair up into like a faux bob, and I didn't have my necklace, but you can't see the necklace in the photo, so it doesn't matter. But it was it just made me so happy. So this is the day that my Merbella tail finally arrived, and I was so excited. The pictures don't do it justice. My Polaroid zip printer, it doesn't print the greatest. I mean, it's fine for what it is, but it doesn't always capture the colors 100%. But I was so excited that it was finally there. I waited over 1,000 days for it. So this was just great. So and you can see things started to kind of fall apart, and you know what? It was just one of those learning experiences. You just keep going. It's fine. Sometimes these things happen. In fact, like this here, as I step back for a moment, was from my Dalmatian that had passed away a long time ago, that we still find his hair around sometimes. But I just really liked this scene, and I just miss him, and he was a really good dog. But as I was saying, by like things not, you know, lining up all the way, I mean, that's fine. I give 0 fucks. But this journal, like, I was getting to the end of it. Like, I wasn't even filling stuff in all the way. You know, I was super busy with gifts. I was trying to color these in as I went, you know, and I had to kind of sacrifice things, and I was okay with that. And at the same time, I was moving into, like I said, my next journal. But I saved some wrapping paper that I really adored because it was adorable. Okay, I'm sorry. And then here was my, we're flying into the next year. And what I loved about this sticker was he's supposed to be laying on his back, like being cute. But if you turned him upside down, it looked like he was like leaping or flying. So that's what I did. I made him flying into the new year. Back here too, like I was like testing things that I wanted for my next journal. I was going to do themes for each week. I was working on different calligraphy, brush pens. I love the fact that I spelled dolphin wrong, and I had to put a stamp in there that was confused by it. But and then I was testing here how well this book would hold up to watercolor, and it turns out really well. So I was excited, and I used a lot of watercolor in my next journal. These were all just more testing pages. And then in the back here, I have some more drawings and stuff. My testing pages, my anchor list, I condensed it, my stamping, and then here I have the dimensions for my layouts so that I could just have them. I mean, after a while, you just get used to doing it a certain way and being like, oh, it's this big by this, and it's like muscle memory. But I enjoy having this written down as a just in case. And then this was like passwords, so that's all covered up. And these were Distress ink and Lawn Fawn inks, and these inks bleed like crazy through this type of paper. So I do not recommend them in here. They're great for like cards, or if you stamp on something, like let's say you have scrap paper. I don't have any really right now, but if you have scrap paper and you stamp on that and then cut it out and then glue it into your journal, that's fine. But just right into here, not so great. I even like, you can see it bled through onto the next page, and I covered it up here with this piece from a collection of Jane Davenport pictures that she drew. So yeah, that is my second bullet journal. Whew! And it had a lot of stuff in there, and I learned a lot about bullet journaling still. Like, you're always learning when you have a bullet journal and you do it every day and you keep, you know, going through the motions and stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Go ahead and give it a like if you did, and don't forget to click on the subscribe button so you know when more videos are posted. I will see you in my next one. Thanks for watching.